Are you neglecting the gold mine of customers that you already have done business with? I'm guilty. I can tell you that over 34 years, I can think very clearly about seasons where I took my customers for granted, not intentionally, but through the process of business and really misunderstanding the true potential that lies in really caring for and putting your customer base first. By not doing so, it limits your growth, it stagnates progress, and more importantly, it increases your customer acquisition costs and really delays the true accelerating power of the growth of your business. Welcome back to the Mindship Podcast. This is the fifth installment of our AI marketing makeover series. And in this particular segment, we talk to our clients about the power of customer delight. It's more than customer service, it's really taking care of those customers who got you to where you are. And so often we grow and evolve our businesses, and sometimes we forget who got us there. One of the things I think about in the last 13 and a half to going on 14 years in our agency is when we raised prices for our new customers coming in, we didn't raise prices for our existing customers. Now, there were a couple of exceptions to that, but for the most part, in 14 years, our existing customers, all but two times, did not have to take any price increase. This isn't just about price, this isn't just about how much they pay, but we talked about strengthening customer relationships and driving repeat and referral business. And I don't know where the study came from. My mind wants to say Forbes. It could have been Harvard Business Review. But I remember hearing this if it didn't sink in until I read this, it sunk in. And it was like it takes 5 to 25 times more energy, effort, and capital to get a new customer than it is to just take care of your current customers and develop long term loyalty and referrals. And so today we talk about some of the benefits of what we can do with AI, specifically in this workshop, because it was before Claude and Gemini really started picking up speed. We talk about ChatGPT and how you can bring some very robust opportunities into your customer loyalty and what we call building lifetime value of your customer. So I want you to dive into today's segment. And if you want the entire workshop, feel free to click the link somewhere in this below this video or this audio, and you can come into the full AI makeover on-demand masterclass for free. This is all a preview of our upcoming AI marketing accelerator, which is going to be a 4-week deep dive inside the Mindshift inner circle. And we're welcome to invite you to that. But right now we just have it on waitlist. So I hope you've enjoyed this sequence. We have gone through 4 segments prior. This is the 5th one. Hope you dive in. And just remember, above all else, taking care of your existing customers. And by the way, we all get it wrong at times, myself included. But I'm always reminded, what can we do more to keep our existing customers happy, build raving fans, build loyalty? Most importantly, are we taking care of their needs? So I hope you enjoy today's segment. We'll see you inside the AI marketing makeover if that's of interest to you. Talk to you soon. Outside of email marketing, it is the number one way to grow your business. And that is care about the people who have already given you money. Care about the people who have already given you money. And I know that seems sort of like duh, but I can assure you in the real world, it's not the case. And I can further say that if you spend time building from what I call the bottom up, when you spend time going from that person and learning from the person who's already trusted you, one thing I often sign off in my emails with clients, I vary what I say, but one of the things I have always thought about when I interact with one of my existing customers at whatever level, I always never take for granted their trust and confidence in my ability to help them get a breakthrough. And that goes for each of you here. I value your trust and confidence. You could have been doing anything today. You could have paid any dollar amount. You paid some money. You're here, you're engaged,
And I don't take that lightly, whether that's a major agency client where the numbers are thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars per month, or whether it's a $47 workshop. No big deal. Here's the point though. And I don't have the exact math in front of me today, but I know that when I first learned about this, I learned about it from an article that I read on Forbes. An article I read on Forbes broke it down this way. And I think the Harvard Business Review has an article on its website still. And that is, and again, the estimates are going to vary, but it's somewhere between it costs 5 to 7 times more money to attract a new customer than it is to take care of an existing one and expand from there. And I know we all get it. I know earlier in the chat, we said a lot of people here get their business by referrals and through networking. So I know that we understand the power of that. But how can we now amplify that? How can we do more? I remember 2002 or three back in the mortgage industry. And I remembered one of the biggest investments I ever made in my mortgage career back then was when I got the recommendation to send a closing gift to every single person who got a mortgage from me back in those days. But the tip wasn't just sending the gift at closing, it was where to send the gift. And I was it to this day, Michael, I don't even know if you remember this, or if when you're in that coaching program that we were both in, if you remember this or they told you, but they told me send the gift to their job so that they would be celebrated in front of their friends. It still kind of gives me chills to this day to think it wasn't a big deal to send a cookie basket or a fruit basket or a candy basket. That was the easy part. But the hack was in the psychology of sending it to their job. Now I know that's a little hard today with virtual stuff, but it was sending it to the job so that they would be celebrated for buying that new home. They would be celebrated for refinancing their debt, whatever the case may be. Okay. So you guys get the point. You all been in business a while. Let's just wrap this up with a few tactical exercises here. One of the big things in marketing is never presuming we know how well our customers think of us, never presuming that we're okay. I've learned this more times than I'd like to admit the hard way, in that we have thought we were doing a certain thing and at a certain level, and the customer felt a certain way until we asked. So one of the opportunities here is to kind of, look for feedback from your existing database. It is tough sometimes to do that. Some of you here probably are familiar, or you may have heard of what's called the Net Promoter Score. Yes, Michael. Great question. Let me come back to that, Michael. I'll tell everybody how to do that during the exercise. Let me get everybody started in the exercise, and I'll make a comment about that. Great question. But the Net Promoter Score is what corporations use, and a lot of businesses use them. We use it at our agency. And the question is very, very simple. And that is, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, what is the likelihood that you would refer us to a friend or family member? It's one question. It's called the Net Promoter Score. And the question is, how likely are you to refer us to a friend or family member who could use our service? That is a very challenging question. And even the biggest of corporations score in the 70s on this thing, 60s as an index. Okay. But number two, upselling ideas. Obviously, you can take a product or service. You can suggest upselling opportunities, cross-selling opportunities in your business. And obviously, you can kind of think these through for whatever you guys are working on. Loyalty programs. Obviously, not every business has one or needs one, but could propose loyalty ideas. Obviously, if you're in e-commerce, that's a big one. If you're a SaaS company, obviously lifetime value matters there. But we've talked about a little bit of this, but let's just kind of take home some of these best practices. And I think, again, keeping in mind what we heard from Dr. Li Jing, it's about the 0 to 1, in my opinion, as I've dealt with it all year. And by the way, you guys, I had well over 300 hours playing with ChatGPT between January and March. And since then, I have tapered now because I think I know where I'm at with most of my functionality and capability. I was supposed to be on some downtime the last week of December 2022. After I got those few text messages and calls, I was like, oh, maybe I'm not going to be doing downtime because this is a big deal. I spent 7 days mostly just in ChatGPT, just about probably 4 to 6 hours a day. We had downtime. I didn't have to worry about clients at that time. And then it just got more expansive, more expansive, more expansive. But again, I'm called on to lead. I'm called on to be the person who knows what's changing. I'm called on, this is my job. This ain't your job necessarily. This is my job. I'm called on to lead strategy for companies that are either stuck or they need to get to the next level. And if I'm not doing that properly, then I'm going to be behind. So that's my job. And so what I've learned in this 0 to 1 conversation is starting with clear questions. I have played with this and gotten bad output, and have, of course, played with it and gotten great output. That example that I gave you when I spent normally with 12 hours and I got this project done in 4 hours, the chat GPT portion was only an hour and 45 minutes of the 4.5 hours. The other 3 hours was me editing against what chat GPT provided. But again, to save 6.5 or 7 hours was incredible. Incredible. Okay. Experiment with different phrasings, different words, different vernacular, things that you use in your business. Make ChatGPT, not make it, but let ChatGPT be as customized to your needs as you need it to be. Avoid overloading with information. What I mean by that is if you have and you want it to write the 10 emails for the email course, let's say you're going to do that, don't ask it to write all 10 emails at the same time. Because what you'll find is it'll write similar structured emails and they'll all be very below average. Ask it to do one task at a time when it comes to, so you can ask it to come up with the 10 ideas and the 10 subject lines. But then once you pick a subject line and then ask it to do the execution, don't try to get it to do too much at the same time. That 12-hour exercise that normally would have taken me 12 hours, if I showed you the prompt history and the output on a Google Doc, it was probably 60 something pages. That's how much work I had to put into it. So you got to give it some pieces so it can work. Obviously, you guys are familiar with it being a brainstorming tool. I think that is one of the best use cases for it. Obviously, please, please, please fact check. If you're asking it to create something you're not familiar with, you've got to fact check it. You just must do that. And stay up with the current versions. If you are paying for ChatGPT Plus, which is $20 a month, you're always going to have access to the latest version. If you're on the free version, you're going to have a version behind or a version or two behind. And then lastly, again, manage your expectations. I look at ChatGPT as a very underpaid, extremely valuable employee, team member, research guide, assistant, collaborator. I've got a lot of words, and I know that sounds crazy. I'm talking about a robot. But I will tell you that as a marketing agency who has had salary loads in the $500,000 mark for staff on a regular basis for the last decade, I'll repeat that. I've had salary loads in the $500,000 mark, $750,000 mark in my little bitty agency. And to know today that that number is a third, not because the individuals were terrible, but because the technology has moved into a place where some of the things I had to pay for, I no longer have to pay those dollars for. And at the beginning of the year, I told my team, you need to become efficient at your role using ChatGPT. And to me, this has leveled the playing field for everyone because you no longer need an expert or a quote unquote guru to be all things to your business. Okay. There is a right place to hire someone because if you don't know how to do the 0 to 1, you need somebody like me. You need somebody like you need someone who can do 0 to 1. But if you can't do 0 to 1, you got to have somebody like us. And then there's things that ChatGPT can't do. ChatGPT, I tried to put my paid media manager out of business. I tried to, not because I wanted to, but I wanted to test the ChatGPT capabilities. This is outside the scope of today's talk, but I was like, can ChatGPT optimize a Google ad campaign based on the data from the campaign? Those days may be coming, but they're not here today. And so I've been playing, a lot of my hours have been, what can't it do? So I'm clear about what it can do. What can't it do? And that's what I'd ask you to challenge yourself with in your business as well.
Hit the subscribe button so you can become a part of the Mind Shift community. We'll help you shift your mind so you can shift your results.